Hey, my name is Kayla Coco. I am from FGCU's Exercise Science program. Today I'll be talking about sleep and performance. It is a project I did during the semester at To the Top in Fort Myers. So before I get into the project, here's just a little information about my site. Again, it's To the Top in Fort Myers. It is a performance-based site, meaning that people come in to really push themselves and become better at functional movements. Maybe they're in a sport, so they want to work on things for that. But it's basically just improving their performance in working out overall. The clientele that comes in, I wrote all ages welcome, meaning there can be kids the age of 10 coming in to be more active, up to people ages of 80 or over coming in to be more active as well. So huge, diverse crowd that comes through. The training style that we do there, usually it's around like a push-pull, horizontal, push-pull, vertical. We have some lateral rotational movements as well. Sometimes we have some functional or sport-specific movements that will be focused on as well. Just depends on the client. Each workout is tailored to that client so that they get the most out of what they're doing there, and reach their goals a little quicker as well. So lots of different experience just from being at this site and seeing so many different people come through. Since there are so many different people coming through to this site, and different experiences overall, the varying demographics at the site, I decided that I needed to pick something that they all had in common, something that they all do every day. And I came across some random articles and finally decided, okay, well, everyone sleeps at night, so let's take a look at how sleep quality can affect the quality of your exercise performance, or if there's other factors that could change that, which I'll get into a little bit later. What I hope this project will do is show the importance of sleep to people, or the clients at the site, and also to see exactly how sleep can affect your aspects of performance, or even how much you're indulging in caffeine or how much you're indulging in sleeping aids, things like that. Before beginning my project, I was looking at a lot of different literature, journal articles, things like that, to get an idea of what I should look into, or ask questions about, and basically get a better idea for what my project will look like. So there's 5 different articles I'm going to talk about real quick, just to give a background of where I got the ideas from. This first one is called Which Parameters to Use for Sleep Quality Monitoring in Team Sport Athletes. So this one looks into sleep quality in athletes using different scales and different sleeping measurements. And this was the one that kind of sparked my interest in the sleep topic, since I am working with so many different people at this site. And yeah, so it basically gave me the introduction to the topic of sleep quality and maybe how it could affect our clients at the site. This second one is interrelationship between sleep quality, insomnia, and sleep disorders in professional soccer players. So this article found that sleeping or sleep monitoring and awareness of regulating sleep should be implemented among athletes to help improve performance, recovery, injury, and also their immunity. So this one also made me start to think, okay, which clients are actually sleeping enough or have insomnia? Maybe they have sleep disorders. How can that affect their performance overall. So that's how I got introduced to that idea as well. This third article I have is called Effects of Acute Sleep Deprivation and Caffeine Supplementation on Anaerobic Performance. So they did not find significant differences in those that were considered sleep deprived versus those who were not sleep deprived, which I found interesting. They even used like a caffeine and a placebo as a factor and found no differences that way as well. So after reading this article, I was pretty interested in whether those who would use sleeping aids or caffeine would see a bigger difference in performance overall, and just gave me another idea to look into more of the factor of caffeine, because obviously if you're not sleeping a lot, you're going to look for other ways to find energy. So this other article also has to do with caffeine. It's called Impact of Caffeine Intake on an 800-meter running performance and sleep quality in trained runners. So this one, they also found no significant difference in those who had caffeine and those who had a placebo, and they found no significant differences in performance as well. So I was looking forward to see if there was going to be a bigger difference with those who had a lot of caffeine and those who didn't, things like that from my site that I was at. This last one is called The Effects of Sleep Extension on Sleep Performance, Immunity, and Physical Stress in Rugby Players. So a lot of these have to do with athletes, and I thought that's probably the closest thing I can get to my clients, because a lot of them kind of are athletes or used to be athletes, or they're just being very active at the site. But anyways, this article looks at increasing sleep time and the quality of sleep, basically. So by sleep extension, it's basically meaning more sleep in general to see if their performance would also increase. So although the sleep quality and time of sleeping increased, they measured a small decrease in reaction time. So they concluded that they should implement a sleep program to improve sleep and stress and also reaction time. So I looked into this article just in case some clients do sleep more than is needed, and to see maybe if their performance was a little off because of that. In the future, I'd like to look at reaction time overall too. So that was another factor that I didn't really get to include in my project, which we're going to get into in just a second. So getting into what I did for my project, I decided to keep it a little simple and kind of make it a stepping stone research project. So what I did is come up with a survey on my own to give to different clients that are willing to do the survey. They didn't have to put their name on it, so it's anonymous, and it's basically just a self-analysis. So it's looking at how they rate themselves and how they feel, basically. So some of the questions, or actually these are all the questions that were on the survey that I gave out. I asked how many hours of sleep they got the night before. I asked if they have a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, or another source that tracks their sleep, and told them to write down how it was tracked. I asked them to rate their sleep the last night they slept. I asked them to rate their energy level when they wake up. And then I also asked how often their sleep is at that rate and how often their energy level is at that rate as well, to see if it's something that's normal for them or if it was an out of ordinary night or morning. Another thing I asked about was sleeping aid use, because some people use melatonin or other sources to help them get to sleep. And I also asked for stimulant use, such as caffeine, soda, coffee, pre-workout, things like that. And if they had a stimulant after 5 p.m. the night before as well, because that could also affect how they slept the night before. I asked them to rate their performance in their workout that day. I told them to rate their average performance to see if it's out of the ordinary compared to usual. I asked if they did new, familiar, or kind of a mixture of both in their workout. So like new movements that they're not used to doing or things that they have done in the past. I asked them to rate their energy throughout the workout. And I asked them if they feel like they have more energy at the beginning, the middle, the end, or after their workout to see if maybe if they had caffeine earlier, if they kind of died out near the end, things like that, just to look into. And also a ratio of the average hours of sleep they usually get compared to the average hours of activity or their workouts that they usually do. I also left a little section for comments, which I'll probably just add to the end of this video, just so you guys can see what the clients have to think about how sleep affects them or not. So after giving this survey to a few of the clients at my site, I calculated all the information that I got from each of them. So this is the data that I got from all participants. After this, I'm going to break it down by age group. So this is everyone all together. I had a total of 23 participants, 16 were female, 7 were male. Majority of these clients worked out in the afternoon. So this is another thing I would like to improve in the future, is getting a larger number of participants and a more even number of female to male. That way maybe in the future I can look into differences between gender and probably get a little bit better information with a larger group of people. So anyways, here's what I got from everyone. Here's the averages. So they average around 6.5 hours of sleep. They also average around 6.96 for their sleep rating. Their energy level rating was around 5.43, so not very high with the energy level when they wake up. However, their workout rating was around 8. Their usual is around 8, and their energy throughout the workout is a 7.67 or almost 8. So pretty good with their workouts, but sleep had a little bit lower rating compared to that. So their ratio overall was 6.39 average hours of sleep per night compared to 1.5 hours of working out. So another thing we looked into, of course, was the sleeping aids, stimulants. So let's get into that a little bit. About 26% of the participants used a sleeping aid. 5 of 6 used it 2 to 3 times a week. So it is something that they're pretty dependent on for those who did use it. And a higher percentage was for stimulants. Usually everyone circled coffee or caffeine. Some had pre-workout, but around 61% do use stimulants. 10 of them were in the morning, 3 of them were in the evening, and 1 of them was using it 24/7. So it is another thing that's very dependent on as well. So looking at the 2 that had stimulants after 5 p.m. the night before, they both had it at around 8 p.m. Both of them were male. 1 worked out in the morning, 1 worked out midday. So I looked at their sleeping rating. 1 was around 7, the other one was around 5, so not the best sleeping rating. Their energy level, however, was very high, so maybe that's because of the stimulants that they have throughout the day. Another one is sleeping aid. They had 1 of them that was pretty dependent on it, and then 1 of them was also very dependent on stimulants 24/7. But however, their workout rating for themselves was around 8 to 10. So even though maybe they're not getting the best sleep, they are getting a lot of stimulants and they are getting the best workout that they can. So now I'm breaking up that information into age groups. Since I already mentioned we have been working with a lot of different ages, different people coming into the site. So I wanted to break it up by age group to see how maybe those numbers differ. So this first age group is around 14 to 20-year-olds. There were 7 participants overall in this group. All of them were female. They worked out from around 3 to 6 p.m. So the averages for this group was around 5.86 hours of sleep the night before, which is not a lot. One had an Apple Watch and actually got around 7 hours and was rated fair. Another thing we looked at is their sleep rating, which they got around 3 to 4 days a week. So they got 6.86 on that for the average rating. Their energy level rating when they wake up in the morning is around 3.43, 5 to 6 days a week, which is very, very low. They also have no sleeping aids. 4 of 7 of them use stimulants around 7 to 9 a.m. None of them use any after 5 p.m. the day before, and their energy throughout their workout was around 7.14. When I asked their ratings for their workouts, they said around 7.71, and their usual performance is around the same, 7.57, and the most energy they had was near the middle of the workout. The ratio for this age group is 5 to 7 average hours of sleep and 1 to 3 average hours of working out. The reason why it gets up to 3 hours of working out is because some of these people in this age group are playing sports in high school, college, things like that. So they have other workouts that they're doing as well, or activity that they're doing as well. Looking over this group overall compared to even the other groups that we'll get into later, this age group had the lowest average hours sleeping the night before and the lowest energy level ratings in the morning. They also had up to 3 hours of average hours to work out, like I already talked about, because of sports. Their workout performance was around like 7, almost 8. So they're not even one of the highest in their workout performance, even though they're the youngest group that we work with. And it probably is because of going to school, going to practice, coming to work out. Probably takes a toll on them, and then obviously not getting enough sleep probably plays a factor into that as well. So the next age group up is around 26 to 39 years old. I have 9 participants in this group. 5 were female, 4 were male. 2 of them worked out in the morning, 6 of them worked out in the evening. And their averages were around 7 hours of sleep. One had an Apple Watch that said they got a good 7 hours of sleep. Their sleep rating is around 7.56, so obviously that's a huge difference from that first group we saw. And it's also 5 to 6 days a week, so it's very consistent. Along with their energy level waking up is a little bit higher, 6.63. Big difference from the first group as well, also 5 to 6 days a week, so they're pretty consistent in this group as well. 3 of them do use a sleeping aid, so that could be why their sleep rating is higher, not sure. And 2 of them do it 2 to 3 times a week, so pretty dependent on it. 6 of these 9 participants also use stimulants, caffeine mostly. 3 in the morning, 2 in the evening, and 1 24/7. There's 2 that use them after 5 p.m. like I talked about earlier. They are in this age group. Their energy level throughout the workout is around 8. Same for their performance during this workout and usually during their workouts. And most of them had the energy at the end of the workout, some in the middle, some at the beginning, but mainly at the end. So their ratio is around 6 to 8 hours of sleep, which is also a bigger difference from the last group. And their working out ratio is around 0.75 to 2 hours. So this group obviously had a higher amount of sleep and energy. They also did use more caffeine and have higher performance ratings. So that could have to do with either how much sleep they got or combination with how much caffeine they're taking in as well. The next age group ranges from 43 to 55 years old. There are 4 participants in this group. 3 of them were female, 1 was a male. Their workouts were around 4 to 6 p.m. They averaged around 6 hours of sleep. One had a Fitbit that graded it as fair, 5.5 hours. And their sleep rating is around a 7. Energy level rating is around 6.75, so not as high as that last group for the hours slept and sleep rating, but however their energy level is just slightly higher. 2 of them do use a sleeping aid 2 to 3 times a week for one of them, and 3 of 4 use stimulants, 2 in the morning, 1 in the evening. None of them use it after 5 p.m. Their energy throughout their workouts around an 8. Workout performance is a 8.75 to 8.25 for usual and the workouts that they did that day. Most of them had their energy in the middle of the workout. Their ratio for hours of sleep to hours of working out is 5 to 8 hours of sleep and a half hour to 2 hours of working out. So this group had pretty average hours of sleep and energy level. They also put 5 to 6 days a week for both of them, so they are pretty consistent with that. They also did have the highest performance ratings. So that's pretty interesting, I thought. And let's look into this next group. So this is the last group, and the ages range 66 to 67. There's only 3 participants around these ages. 1 was a female, 2 were male. Workouts are from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. The averages for this group were around 6.33 hours slept, 5.33 for the sleep rating, 4.67 for energy level. So I also put another rating for those just because one of them was a little bit of an outlier because they put 1 and 2 for sleep and energy level. And it's not usually normal for them to have that rating. So I kind of took that out to see what the changes would be there. And it goes up to 7.5 and 6. The sleeping aid was used with one of them for 2 to 3 times a week. One of them had stimulants at 9 a.m. None had any after 5 p.m. They rated themselves as a 7 for energy throughout the workout, 7.67 for the workout performance, 8 for usual performance, and they had the most energy in the middle of the workout. 1 had it after. The ratio for them was 6 to 7 for sleeping hours and half an hour to 1.5 hours of working out. So like I said, we had 1 outlier due to their ratings for sleep and energy level, but pretty average overall looking at their ratings and averages. If I were to redo this project in the future, some things I would change would be more specific questions, such as like if people have prescribed medications, if they have prescribed sleeping aids, things like that. Also, I'd like to include at least 1 or 2 performance tests. So looking at either agility, speed, 1 rep max, vertical jump, anything like that, just to see if maybe that is affected as well. So it's a little more specific, and I would like to have started this project sooner so that I would have seen this a little more ahead of time when I had more time to actually perform these specific tests. I do think this project is a good stepping stone. So basically we could use this study just to see like, okay, let's take a look deeper into this or that. So it is a good beginning research into further research. And it can be taken in a lot of different directions. We could look into more of the sleep deprivation and caffeine usage, like that one article, and how it affects specific performance and different tests again. We could also look into sleep and specific sports. So like volleyball, soccer, they all have different kind of movements, baseball. See if sleep makes a difference in things that are specific to those sports. We could also take it and just make it a little more detailed, basically. So look at their self rating, look at the ratings they get on specific performance, look at the rating they get with their Fitbit or Apple Watch, or even a specific sleep measurement like that one article talked about as well. It can be taken in so many different ways. So hopefully one day in the future, maybe I can use this little bit of research to further some more research or inspire others.